This is how I mint fully on-chain NFTs on Tezos with no code whatsoever. I've created a bunch of tools for you all to use, make it really easy. So you got to keep compressionism in mind when you're creating NFTs on the blockchain, especially on Tezos. You can't mint files larger than 20 kilobytes. That's really tiny. How do you do that? Well, I mean, here's how I do it. With my minimalism, compressionism, pixel art, I create very small animations in Sprite. It's a really nice piece of software that can spritify just about any image. And for example, I mean, look, I've only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 colors going on here. There's a total of 6 frames and a bunch of layers. And if I play through this animation, you can see what it's doing here. This took a while to draw, as they all do. When you're creating art, however you create it, this is how I do it. But this is just a really good way to do it. So I'm going to show you how I export my files. I go to File, Export, Export as Sprite Sheet. I'll click on the output file for JSON and for the JPEG. This creates a horizontal sprite sheet, as you can see. That's really easy to deploy. We'll do a horizontal strip, make sure that's selected. Ignore empty frames. I always pick that even though there isn't any, just in case. You never know. Everything else defaults fine. Make sure it's on hash. And all these are unselected. We'll export it. And it should show up where I've been exporting my files. When it's finished exporting, we will do something with it. We're going to get this puppy on chain, fully on chain. So the first thing that I like to do is I like to take this file, the little PNG. It can get smaller. You know, it's 4.37 kilobytes. That's pretty small, but I bet you I can get it smaller. Let's drop it into Squoosh. It's a free online app that has pretty much anything you can think of as far as compression algorithms for image files. Drag and drop it in there. You can zoom in, check the quality on the changes on the left to the right. I like to resize and see how much this percentage goes down. 68%. That's a lot by the default settings. And of course, how many colors did we have in our animation? 7. So let's drop it down to 7. That dropped it even more. See, there's some pixels when it transferred over, for some reason, was more colors when it exported even. But as you can see, when I dropped it to 7, the file size got even smaller. I don't want to change this because that's going to mess up how it's rendering. 100 by 100 pixels is usually how I do my animations. I go smaller sometimes. I usually don't go any bigger than that. That gets the creme de la creme of the minimalism that I'm going for. And you check all these different, compression algorithms to see how it changes the file size and the appearance. I don't really like Mitchell. It always washes it out, but that could be an effect that you like in your art. So the smallest one for this type of art is probably going to be Lancos 3. As you can see, the file size isn't really changing. It's about as small as it gets, but I'm going to stick with Lancos 3. And 7 colors. I'm not going to dither. That's up to you if you want to dither or not. For my pixel art, dithering doesn't really do anything in this app. There's better apps out there, some made by OXDIID, Bright Light Art. They've made some tools to help you dither your art. It's pretty easy. You can make your own tools too. Just log into ChatGPT and have it write you a tool. It's pretty easy. All right, so 69% lowered in size. We're down to 1.37 kilobytes. Let's download this puppy. I'm going to overwrite this. I'm going to save it. Yeah, I want to save it and replace the file. Thank you very much. And now we're going to go on over here. This is how I like to do it. I created a bunch of tools that are free for anyone to use. I've got an encoder. I've got a image to GIF to SVG, sprite sheet to SVG. That's what we're working with since I have a sprite sheet. So we're going to click on the sprite sheet to SVG. And it's pretty easy to use. You just upload your horizontal sprite sheet. Go to Humanity for Sale. We'll go to Open. And we'll click the JSON file, upload that too. look, it successfully loaded 6 frames from the JSON, automatically configures it to be an animation in SVG format, which is going to be rendered pixelated, best for pixel art, because if you select the smooth option, it'll get blurry as it scales. But if you pick the best, if you create pixel art and you use this setting in your SVG file, you'll see it generate the SVG. See, it went from this super little tiny 100 by 100 GIF, which is only, you know, yay big. That's tiny. All right, so, but yeah, it took that little tiny piece of art and it made it scale without losing quality. Isn't that cool? So you can stretch it out to the size of the moon and it'll always look crisp. It won't look blurry. And that works with pixel art on this app. So depending on what you're trying to do, what the size of your files are, this will help scale your images in SVG format. And you can see the code here. You can copy and paste it from here. You can also compress it. I have an SVG optimizer built in that minifies it for you. And then we can download the SVG file, which is what I'm going to do because that's what we're going to use. And we're going to call it humanity for sale. All right, that's saved. And next. All right, so I mean, we've compressed our PNG before converting it into a sprite. I like to use this free browser plugin, SVG OMG, because we can get it even smaller, believe it or not. Right now, you added more code to the image, so it went from that 1.33 kilobytes up to 2.32 kilobytes. And we're going to drag that SVG into this SVG OMG. And I have a bunch of settings selected that doesn't mess up my SVG. If you want to remember these settings for my app in particular, don't uncheck any of the other ones. Otherwise, it will, these ones that are not checked, it could mess some things up as far as how it renders on different devices. See, if I remove XML and S, it completely removes the animation altogether. And so will some of these other settings could mess some things up too. Or even make the file size bigger. But hey, we shrunk it down 97.16% from its original size yet again. All right, so let's download this file and we'll replace this one, save. This is the file that we're going to finally mint. Fully on-chain on Tezos. How do we do that? Well, it's actually pretty complicated. It takes a lot to be able to get an NFT fully on-chain. This guy named JestemZero created from what I understand to be the very first fully on-chain smart contract called the Zero contract. And I took his contract and I built a tool to automate putting NFTs on chain so you didn't have to go through Better Call Dev and convert things from plain text to hex and converting into data URIs. All that stuff is handled internally on my website, savetheworldwithart.io. And we'll get started. So I highly recommend testing on GhostNet first every single time. You can get some test Tezos from faucets out there. They're all over the place. Just make sure you do your research and find a reliable one that's, you're not connecting your wallet to something that could steal from you. So that said, next step, let us deploy this NFT fully on chain. It's pretty simple. I created this interface specifically for the Zero contract. Make sure to read all the disclaimers and test on testnet first. I'm pretty comfortable with this, and I have already done it a bunch of times. So I know what I'm doing, and I know that this test, what I'm about to do, won't fail. So always test your mints and your NFTs on GhostNet first, please. If you click on this link, it will take you to ghostnet.savetheworldwithart.io. When you connect to this website, you will be connecting to the Tezos testnet. And always check your messages when you're signing for stuff in your wallet so you know how much gas fees are going to be, you know the proper network you're connected to. Make sure you're on the right website. and you're not doing a test on the other one, always check your settings before you hit that sign button so you don't make silly mistakes. So I've already deployed a contract for this collection. It is my Fully On-Chain collection on Object, which is right here. And you can just copy it from the address bar up here if you already have a collection that's on the Zero contract. But otherwise, how I made this, this is a version 2, version 1, version 2 contract. This is where your collection is deployed. When you hit generate contract, you're generating a contract that has endpoints that allows you to mint, burn, transfer NFTs, check the balance of, check the change the operators, all that fancy NFT stuff. This very first one is Zero Contract version 1, created by JestemZero, which has all of those endpoints in it. And you can see I've explained in the terms and conditions here. At the very bottom, you can see exactly what endpoints are in each contract, trying to be as transparent as possible so you understand what's in each contract and what you can do with them. Version 2, the only difference is, well, there's quite a few differences. It has the ability to add parent and child, and it lets you mint editioned NFTs compatible with Object, as well as version, one-of-one NFTs. I like to use version 2 just because it's got all the cool stuff in it. Version 1 is just as good. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just only works with one-of-one NFTs. So you'll fill out your form, give it a collection name, give it a symbol. I put in some safety measures in here for character limits, compatible with Object, so that hopefully you don't make the mistake of using too many characters or symbols that aren't allowed. Just keep it simple. Use standard keyboard characters, UTF-8. That's what most NFT marketplaces are compatible with. So you just fill this in plain English. You don't have to worry about any code. It'll automatically convert and do all the conversion on the back end internally inside this app. It will replace the admin address for the contract with your connected wallet so that you are the owner of it. If I die, if I disappear, Save the World with Art goes under, if something bad happens to me or this website, you are still in control of your own contracts and your own NFTs, and they will live forever on the blockchain. So that's why I say to test on GhostNet first, because this first, when you deploy this contract, you can't burn it. You can't destroy smart contracts. That's what the whole point of a contract is. It's supposed to be permanent and decentralized. So make sure that you test on GhostNet first before you deploy your smart contracts. And when you're done, you'll get a pop-up that gives you the contract address. So you can copy it directly from this page. You don't have to go to Object in order to get it if you don't want to. But it'll give it to you there. But we'll go ahead, since I've already done this part, agree to the terms, upload your thumbnail. That's actually, let's talk about this. Uploading your collection thumbnail. Object might not display your thumbnail if it is over 254 characters in length after encoding it into a data URI. So a really good way to check is to test on GhostNet first to make sure it shows up before you try doing it for real. If it does, you're good. If it doesn't, keep it under 20 kilobytes. That's a really good rule of thumb. Just get it as small as possible. And your collection thumbnail is supposed to be simple anyway. That's not the art that you're trying to sell. That's just the collection you're putting it under. And for me, the collection is Compressionism Fully On-Chain. And you can see all the data here that I filled out in the form automatically got pushed onto Object. And now I can mint NFTs to this collection. And that's what we're going to do next. So we'll go ahead and go to Mint Burn Transfer. I'm going to paste my contract address in there, load it, and it should load a preview pulled from the Tezos blockchain of your contract that loads the image that you uploaded and a basic description of your NFT. You have these endpoints that you can use: mint, burn, transfer, balance of, operators. It explains what each one does. What we're going to do is we're going to mint this artwork. So let's go ahead and do this. So this piece that we just made is called Humanity for Sale. So Humanity for Sale. And I've already created an NFT description for this. All right, so I've got my description ready. Let's go ahead and paste this in here. We'll upload our NFT, keep it under 20 kilobytes. There's our SVG that we compressed from a compressed PNG. It shows us a little preview if it works or not. If it doesn't work, maybe you should fix your image. That's put a lot of checks in here to make sure that it'll actually display. All right, so then we got to paste our creator address. That's going to be the creator address is obviously my address. I would like 10% royalties, please. I put a max at 10 just because standard NFT marketplaces on all the other chains usually leave it at 10. You can go higher on object, but for my application, I'm keeping it at 10 just to keep it simple and to just kind of be cohesive with how everyone else is doing it. If I get enough people yelling at me to change the limit from 10 to, I believe it's like 17.5% you can do or something like that on object royalties, then I will do that. But for now, just keeping it from up to 10 is good enough to me. All right, so a lot of different licenses to choose from. Do your own research. Make sure you know what these mean. You can add your own custom license down here at the bottom and type it in. I created my own custom on-chain NFT license 2.0, which is actually deployed as a smart contract and is pretty ubiquitous, and anyone can use that. If you want to know what that license is or how it works, you can click on-chain license NFT 2.0 up here on the top. It's pretty ubiquitous and covers every country, and will protect you and your collectors from any kind of mishaps or intellectual property violations, stuff like that. So we've got attributes, and you can add up to 10 attributes. I'm not going to add that many. I usually only add a few for these. You can add as many, you can add up to 10 on my platform. I can always add more. I just kept it at 10 just because I don't really know what the limit is for object yet. I haven't found that written anywhere. So I'm just keeping it at 10 for now until I find out, or until you guys make a suggestion. So tags. I have a default one that I use here for a lot of stuff. There you go. There's your tags. And the recipient address, of course, is my own address again. I'm the creator, and I am sending it to myself so that I can list it on object. I'm going to make this a 1 of 1. Agree, mint NFT, and it should prompt you to open your Kukai wallet. If it's already open, you can just hit confirm. Now, make sure to pay attention to the gas fees. NFTs minted fully on chain are always more expensive than using IPFS because you're putting more information on the blockchain. IPFS NFTs only put a link to your pinned IPFS image in storage. We're putting the entire image in storage, which is going to be a little more expensive. But Tezos is, 1.15 Tez. That's hardly anything compared to minting fully on chain on ETH. So we'll hit confirm. Continue. And once that's done, you should get a success message down here, which is covered by my Vercel tools. Sorry. Success. All right, and then in 30 seconds to a minute, it should show up on object. And it's already showed up. It didn't even take that long. So there it is. You can see everything that we did with our tool shows up. There's the attributes. Go into the properties for the NFT. It shows up as an image SVG XML. There's the artifact. There's no metadata because it's not using IPFS. Normally it would show the IPFS information here, but our NFT doesn't display information here because it is fully on chain. And there's my license. And you can list it for auction. You can list it for a buy now price. There it is. That is how you mint an NFT fully on chain using the Zero contract. I want to say thank you very much to Retro Manny for your YouTube video, your breakdown of the process, really complicated process of how to mint an NFT using Better Call Dev. You can actually still manipulate your NFTs with any other platforms that you like. Better Call Dev is a pretty good interface to see everything related to your smart contract. So my interface makes it really simple in no code, but there are more endpoints that you can manipulate from Better Call Dev that I did not put on my platform just because they're a little more complicated. And I wanted it to be as easy as possible for no coders and artists everywhere to be able to use. So as you can see here, go to interact and you can see there's all these other endpoints that you can use, which are described in my terms. And it's a little more complicated manipulating with Better Call Dev because you have to work with string byte pairs and you have to convert to hexadecimal everything that you're wanting to add to your NFT. It gets a little hairy. My platform handles all of that on the back end. Keep in mind all of these rules when creating these NFTs. This up here, this just links to my NFTs. I have a live API that shows my partnership with Ecology and our impact. All of our NFTs plant trees and remove carbon from the atmosphere. I have a partnership with Ecology, and you can verify our impact here directly to Ecology. You can even narrow it down, read about this project, and you can see exactly where every little tiny dollar that I spend on improving planet sustainability goes. It's pretty cool. So save the world with art. Peace